Inspecting air brake systems. You should use the basic 7-step inspection procedure described in Section 2 to inspect your vehicle. There are more things to inspect on a vehicle with air brakes than one without them. These things are discussed below in the order they fit into the 7-step method. During Step 2, engine compartment checks. Check air compressor drive belt, if compressor is belt driven. If the air compressor is belt driven, check the condition and tightness of the belt. It should be in good condition. During Step 5 walk-around inspection, check slack adjusters on S-cam brakes. Park on level ground and chock the wheels to prevent the vehicle from moving. Turn off the parking brakes so you can move the slack adjusters. Use gloves and pull hard on each slack adjuster that you can reach. If a slack adjuster moves more than about 1 inch where the push rod attaches to it, it probably needs adjustment. Adjust it or have it adjusted. Vehicles with too much brake slack can be very hard to stop. Out of adjustment brakes are the most common problem found in roadside inspections. Be safe. Check the slack adjusters. All vehicles built since 1991 have automatic slack adjusters. Even though automatic slack adjusters adjust themselves during full brake applications, they must be checked. Automatic adjusters should not have to be manually adjusted except when performing maintenance on the brakes and during installation of the slack adjusters. In a vehicle equipped with automatic adjusters, when the push rod stroke exceeds the legal brake adjustment limit, it is an indication that a mechanical problem exists in the adjuster itself, a problem with the related foundation brake components, or that the adjuster was improperly installed. The manual adjustment of automatic slack adjusters is dangerous because it may give the driver a false sense of security regarding the effectiveness of the brake system. The manual adjustment of an automatic adjuster to bring a brake push rod stroke within legal limits is generally masking a mechanical problem and is not fixing it. Further, routine adjustment of most automatic adjusters will likely result in premature wear of the adjuster itself. It is recommended that when brakes equipped with automatic adjusters are found to be out of adjustment, the driver take the vehicle to a repair facility as soon as possible to have the problem corrected. The manual adjustment of an automatic adjuster should only be used as a temporary measure to correct the adjustment in an emergency situation, as it is likely the brake will soon be back out of adjustment, since this procedure usually does not fix the underlying adjustment problem. Note, automatic slack adjusters are made by different manufacturers and do not all operate the same. Therefore, the specific manufacturer's service manual should be consulted prior to troubleshooting a brake adjustment problem. Check brake drums or discs, linings, and hoses. Brake drums or discs must not have cracks longer than 1/2 the width of the friction area. Linings, friction material, must not be loose or soaked with oil or grease. They must not be dangerously thin. Mechanical parts must be in place, not broken or missing. Check the air hoses connected to the brake chambers to make sure they aren't cut or worn due to rubbing. Step 7. Final air brake check. Do the following checks instead of the hydraulic brake check shown in Section 2, Step 7. Check brake system. Test low pressure warning signal. Shut the engine off when you have enough air pressure so that the low pressure warning signal is not on. Turn the electric power on and step on and off the brake pedal to reduce air tank pressure. The low air pressure warning signal must come on before the pressure drops to less than 60 psi in the air tank, or tank with the lowest air pressure, in dual air systems. See Figure 5.5. If the warning signal doesn't work, you could lose air pressure and you would not know it. This could cause sudden emergency braking in a single circuit air system. In dual systems, the stopping distance will be increased. Only limited braking can be done before the spring brakes come on. Check that spring brakes come on automatically. Continue to fan off the air pressure by stepping on and off the brake pedal to reduce tank pressure. The tractor protection valve and parking brake valve should close, pop out, on a tractor-trailer combination vehicle, and the parking brake valve should close, pop out, on other combination and single vehicle types when the air pressure falls to the manufacturer's specification, 20 to 45 psi. This will cause the spring brakes to come on. Check rate of air pressure buildup. When the engine is at operating RPMs, the pressure should build from 85 to 100 psi within 45 seconds in dual air systems. If the vehicle has larger than minimum air tanks, the buildup time can be longer and still be safe. Check the manufacturer's specifications. In single air systems, pre-1975, typical requirements are pressure buildup from 50 to 90 psi within 3 minutes, with the engine at an idle speed of 600 to 900 RPMs. If air pressure does not build up fast enough, your pressure may drop too low during driving, requiring an emergency stop. Don't drive until you get the problem fixed. Let's see. Low air pressure warning devices. Low pressure warning. Some vehicles are equipped with a wig-wag that drops into the driver's view and will not stay up in place until the desired air pressure is restored. Test air leakage rate. With a fully charged air system, typically 125 psi, turn off the engine, release the parking brake, and time the air pressure drop. The loss rate should be less than 2 psi in 1 minute for single vehicles and less than 3 psi in 1 minute for combination vehicles. Then apply 90 psi or more with the brake pedal after the initial pressure drop. If the air pressure falls more than 3 psi in 1 minute for single vehicles, more than 4 psi for combination vehicles, the air loss rate is too much. Check for air leaks and fix before driving the vehicle. Otherwise, you could lose your brakes while driving. Check air compressor, governor, cut-in and cut-out pressures. Pumping by the air compressor should start at about 100 psi and stop at about 125 psi. Check manufacturer's specifications. Run the engine at a fast idle. The governor should cut out the air compressor at about the manufacturer's specified pressure. The air pressure shown by your gauges or gauge will stop rising. With the engine idling, step on and off the brake to reduce the air tank pressure. The compressor should cut in at about the manufacturer's specified cut-in pressure. The pressure should begin to rise. If the air governor does not work as described above, it may need to be fixed. A governor that does not work properly may not keep enough air pressure for safe driving. Test parking brake. Stop the vehicle. Put the parking brake on and gently pull against it in a low gear to test that the parking brake will hold. Test service brakes. Wait for normal air pressure. Release the parking brake. Move the vehicle forward slowly, about 5 miles per hour, and apply the brakes firmly using the brake pedal. Note any vehicle pulling to one side, unusual feel, or delayed stopping action. This test may show you problems which you otherwise wouldn't know about until you needed the brakes on the road. Okay, subsections 5.2 and 3. Test your knowledge. 1. What is a dual air brake system? 2. What are the slack adjusters? 3. How can you check slack adjusters? 4. How can you test the low pressure warning signal? 5. How can you check that the spring brakes come on automatically? 6. What are the maximum leakage rates? These questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them all, reread subsections 5.2 and 5.3. Normal stops. Push the brake pedal down. Control the pressure so the vehicle comes to a smooth, safe stop. If you have a manual transmission, don't push the clutch in until the engine RPM is down close to idle. When stopped, select a starting gear. Braking with anti-lock brakes. When you brake hard on slippery surfaces in a vehicle without ABS, your wheels may lock up. When your steering wheels lock up, you lose steering control. When your other wheels lock up, you may skid, jackknife, or even spin the vehicle. ABS helps you avoid wheel lockup. The computer senses impending lockup, reduces the braking pressure to a safe level, and you maintain control. You may or may not be able to stop faster with ABS, but you should be able to steer around an obstacle while braking and avoid skids caused by over-braking. Having ABS on the tractor Having ABS on only the tractor, only the trailer, or even on only one axle still gives you more control over the vehicle during braking. Brake normally. When only the tractor has ABS, you should be able to maintain steering control, and there is less chance of jackknifing. But keep your eye on the trailer and let up on the brakes if you can safely do so if it begins to swing out. When only the trailer has ABS, sorry about that. When only the tractor has ABS, you should be able to maintain steering control, and there is less chance of jackknifing. But keep your eye on the trailer and let up on the brakes if you can safely do so if it begins to swing out. When only the trailer has ABS, the trailer is less likely to swing out. But if you lose steering control or start a tractor jackknife, let up on the brakes if you can safely do so until you gain control. When you drive a tractor-trailer combination with ABS, you should brake as you always have. In other words, use only the braking force necessary to stop safely and stay in control. Brake the same way, regardless of whether you have ABS on the tractor or the trailer or both. As you slow down, monitor your tractor and trailer and back off the brakes if it is safe to do so to stay in control. There is only one exception to this procedure. If you always drive a straight truck or combination with working ABS on all axles in an emergency stop, you can fully apply the brakes. Without ABS, you still have normal brake functions. Drive and brake as you always have. Remember, if your ABS malfunctions, you still have regular brakes. Drive normally, but get the system serviced soon. Emergency stops. If somebody suddenly pulls out in front of you, your natural response is to hit the brakes. This is a good response if there's enough distance to stop and you use the brakes correctly. You should brake in a way that will keep your vehicle in a straight line and allow you to turn if it becomes necessary. You can use the controlled braking method or the stab braking method. Controlled braking. With this method, you apply the brakes as hard as you can without locking the wheels. Keep steering wheel movements very small while doing this. If you need to make a large steering adjustment or if the wheels lock, release the brakes. Reapply the brakes as soon as you can. Stab braking. Apply your brakes all the way. Release brakes when wheels lock up. As soon as the wheels start rolling, apply the brakes fully again. It can take up to 1 second for the wheels to start rolling after you release the brakes. If you reapply the brakes before the wheels start rolling, the vehicle won't straighten out. Stopping distance. Stopping distance was described in Section 2 under Speed and Stopping Distance. With air brakes, there is an added delay, brake lag. This is the time required for the brakes to work after the brake pedal is pushed. With hydraulic brakes, used on cars and light-medium trucks, the brakes work instantly. However, with air brakes, it takes a little time, 1/2 second or more, for the air to flow through the lines to the brakes. Thus, the total stopping distance for vehicles with air brake systems is made up of 4 different factors. Perception distance plus reaction distance plus brake lag distance plus braking distance. Those 4 factors equals the total stopping distance. The air brake lag distance at 55 miles per hour on dry pavement adds about 32 feet. So at 55 miles per hour for an average driver under good traction and brake conditions, the total stopping distance is over 450 feet. See figure 5.6. Alright, so they have the 4 items here. The perception distance, the reaction distance, the brake lag, and then the actual braking distance. Brake fading or failure. Brakes are designed so brake shoes or pads rub against the brake drum or discs to slow the vehicle. Braking creates heat, but brakes are designed to take a lot of heat. However, brakes can fade or fail from excessive heat caused by using them too much and not relying on the engine braking effect. Excessive use of the service brakes results in overheating and leads to brake fade. Brake fade results from excessive heat causing chemical changes in the brake lining, which reduce friction and also causing expansion of the brake drums. As the overheated drums expand, the brake shoes and linings have to move farther to contact the drums, and the force of this contact is reduced. Continued overuse may increase brake fade until the vehicle cannot be slowed down or stopped. Brake fade is also affected by adjustment. To safely control a vehicle, every brake must do its share of the work. Brakes out of adjustment will stop doing their share before those that are in adjustment. The other brakes can then overheat and fade, and there will not be enough braking available to control the vehicle or vehicles. Brakes can get out of adjustment quickly, especially when they are hot. Therefore, check brake adjustment often. Proper braking technique. Remember, the use of brakes on a long and/or steep downgrade is only a supplement to the braking effect of the engine. Once the vehicle is in the proper low gear, the following is the proper braking technique. Apply the brakes just hard enough to feel a definite slowdown. When your speed has been reduced to approximately 5 miles per hour below your safe speed, release the brakes. This application should last for about 3 seconds. When your speed has increased to your safe speed, repeat steps 1 and 2. For example, if your safe speed is 40 miles per hour, you would not apply the brakes until your speed reaches 40 miles per hour. You now apply the brakes hard enough to gradually reduce your speed to 35 miles per hour and then release the brakes. Repeat this as often as necessary until you have reached the end of the downgrade. Low air pressure. If the low air pressure warning comes on, stop and safely park your vehicle as soon as possible. There might be an air leak in the system. Controlled braking is possible only while enough air remains in the air tanks. The spring brakes will come on when the air pressure drops into the range of 20 to 45 psi. A heavily loaded vehicle will take a long distance to stop because the spring brakes do not work on all axles. Lightly loaded vehicles or vehicles on slippery roads may skid out of control when the spring brakes come on. It is much safer to stop while there is enough air in the tanks to use the foot brakes. All right, again, low air pressure. If the low air pressure warning comes on, stop and safely park your vehicle as soon as possible. There might be an air leak in the system. Controlled braking is possible only while enough air remains in the air tanks. The spring brakes will come on when the air pressure drops into the range of 20 to 45 psi. A heavily loaded vehicle will take a long distance to stop because the spring brakes do not work on all axles. Lightly loaded vehicles or vehicles on slippery roads may skid out of control when the spring brakes come on. It is much safer to stop while there is enough air in the tanks to use the foot brakes. Parking brakes. Any time you park, use the parking brakes, except as noted below. Pull the parking brake control knob out to apply the parking brakes. Push it in to release. The control will be a yellow diamond-shaped knob labeled parking brakes on newer vehicles. On older vehicles, it may be a round blue knob or some other shape, including a lever that swings from side to side or up and down. Don't use the parking brakes if the brakes are very hot, from just having come down a steep grade, or if the brakes are very wet in freezing temperatures. If they are used while they are very hot, they can be damaged by the heat. If they are used in freezing temperatures when the brakes are very wet, they can freeze so the vehicle cannot move. Use wheel chocks to hold the vehicle. Let hot brakes cool before using the parking brakes. If the brakes are wet, use the brakes lightly while driving in a low gear to heat and dry them. If your vehicle does not have automatic air tank drains, drain your air tanks at the end of each working day to remove moisture and oil. Otherwise, the brakes could fail. Never leave your vehicle unattended without applying the parking brakes or chocking the wheels. Your vehicle might roll away and cause injury and damage. All right, subsection 5.4, test your knowledge. 1. Why should you be in the proper gear before starting down a hill? 2. What factors can cause brakes to fade or fail? 3. The use of brakes on a long, steep downgrade is only a supplement to the braking effect of the engine. True or false? 4. If you are away from your vehicle only a short time, you do not need to use the parking brake. True or false? 5. How often should you drain air tanks? 6. How do you brake when you drive a tractor-trailer combination with ABS? That's anti-lock braking systems. 7. You still have normal brake functions if your anti-lock braking system is not working. True or false? These questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them all, reread subsection 5.4. All right, thank you.